95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. Welcome into the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard. Pull up a stool and join us at 866-4326. This is WGR Rochester, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia is on now.
2 hours of sports talk excellence here in the Flower City. You found us. Thanks for coming into the Sports Bar. Our phone number 585-866-4326, 585-866-4326. 2 hours coming your way, a lot to get to as we welcome your feedback as well. You can leave a comment on YouTube as we are streaming on YouTube and Twitch. We're on 95.7 FM, AM 950, and always streaming for free in the Odyssey app. My name is Gene Battaglia, Rochester Proud, as well as joined by our fine producer, Tim Schneider. Will have his terrible take, although your takes haven't been terrible lately, so I might have to cancel it. That doesn't add anything to the show.
I'll see what I can do for you.
If you're adding insight don't give us insight, Tim.
Make it suck.
No, not at all. Hey, we're doubling up on the Sabre talk today. Where were you in 2011? I love how this, hey, what was life like in the 1990s? I'm going to put this out on social media tonight. It's a picture of my son and I from the year 2011 when I first took him to a Sabre game, how the drought started and how it ended. And we went a few weeks ago to see the Sabres and Sharks, and we had a lot of fun. And I want this to happen tonight. And if the Sabres do get the 2 points, it's the postseason. We knew the postseason was going to be happening for a while. But what's fun about this is it's not by somebody else losing here. This is the Sabres winning tonight, and they can take care of business in Ottawa. Dan Drummy's Ottawa Senators. I don't have enough time to explain why Dan DeLorean, Pride of Hilton, local hockey nut, is a Sens fan. But he says, hey, Ottawa needs this game. So, sure. It's going to be Linus Ullmark in goal tonight for Ottawa, and UPL in goal tonight for the Buffalo Sabres. Sam Carrick is week to week. Noel Ostlund did not make the trip. We'll get the latest. We're scheduled to be joined by Paul Hamilton from WGR. He will join us at the bottom of this hour. Matthew Fairburn, we haven't had on in a long time. Matthew Fairburn, also up in Canada, will be joining. Not making fun of Canada. I think that's the name of how you pronounce a suburb there. Matthew Fairburn from The Athletic will be joining us in hour number 2. We have plenty of takes. We have a lot of sports talk to get to. 866-4326 is our number to call. I just want to welcome Josh Allen to the club. Josh, congratulations, buddy. Josh Allen is now a girl dad. He and Haley Steinfeld making the announcement today on social media. Now, what is the name of the girl? We don't know. Always kind of a baby thing, too, like how big, how tall. Like, I haven't seen any of that yet, but good that they made the announcement, and hopefully everybody is healthy and doing well. Something about being a girl dad is just a little different. When you get that little thing like right in your arms for that first time, and you realize, boy, my sense of purpose in this world has completely changed, and I'm now responsible for something else. That's big, and I'm very, very happy for Josh Allen. But kind of cool too, right? If you're in the Bills front office, like, thanks, Josh, for planning that. I'm doing my Brandon Bean. Thanks, Josh, for planning that out during your off season there. It's great planning by you. We'll see you at OTAs, which, if I'm not mistaken, is next week, which all indications are that Josh Allen will be just fine for those OTAs, that he will be ready to go coming off that foot surgery. So, again, the news today for the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen is a proud dad of a girl. We don't know the name yet, but as soon as we get that, we will pass that along. We'll catch up tomorrow with some Bills talk. Elena Getzenberg, who covers the Bills for ESPN, Elena will stop by, and we'll talk a little Josh Allen baby talk, but certainly the majority of that being football talk. 866-4326 is our phone number. The Amherst last night losing to Charlotte. Okay, well, we knew this wasn't going to be easy. And Charlotte is always a good team, right? 5-3 ended up being the final, empty netter at the end. Uh, if you are a child of the 80s, you remember the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick? Um, uh, yeah, I think Ali Sheedy was in that. We are still at DEFCON 5. That's it. Like, when it comes to the Amerks in the playoff race, yes, Utica did pick up a point last night. They lost in a shootout or overtime, one of the two, to Providence. But still, it right now is in the Amerks' hands. They have a lead. They have the games in hand here. Rochester up by 5 points on the Comets. Amerks with 2 games in hand. Behind Utica is Belleville. They're 6 points back. They played 2 more games than Rochester, just like Utica. Sen's coming to town tomorrow night. So that's a good opportunity. Like, okay, one of those 2 teams, if the Amerks can then just push Belleville 8 points back, all right, then we're feeling a lot better, are we not? So with 2 games in hand, that Amerks schedule at the end is going to be nutty for sure. Tomorrow in studio, we'll be joined by Don Stevens, where this has been quite the week. We talked to Don yesterday. If you missed that, we have it up for you on all our channels, wherever you find your podcast sort of audio. And certainly you can always go to our website, too, WGR Rochester. It's also up on our X. If you go to our feed there, it's just click on the button. The link is there. Also, the link from yesterday's interview with PJ Glasser when we're breaking down the Final Four. PJ picked Arizona at the beginning to win the whole thing, and as you expect, he is not moving off of that. This is not a Bills note, but it does lend to a Bills conversation here. So it's that disclaimer that Capaccio always kind of brings up a little bit, like, hey, your team needs to bring in 90 guys. So don't get upset at every guy that your team is signing. Because guess what? Do the math. 53 spots, 90 players. Yeah, they're all not making the team. So that's the disclaimer when I tell you, that the Kansas City Chiefs are bringing in Kyer Elam. As much as I wanted to pick up the phone and text my friend Jay Binkley in Kansas City, what are you doing? Ha, 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 don't you know? No, it's like honestly, like that seems like somebody that will really have to do a lot to earn a roster spot. And Kyer Elam, if he were an undrafted free agent or a 7th rounder or something like that, he probably would be not getting a look right now. I'll just say that. You get drafted in the first round, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt, like, okay, they didn't know what they were doing in Buffalo. That's what Dallas thought, right? And then you see Kyer Elam getting toasted by, of all quarterbacks, Russell Wilson. Kyer Elam didn't last long in Dallas. The Bills got their 7th-round pick out of it, and now Kyer Elam is a Chief. The Chiefs kind of picking up nothing. This will be the question I put out to anybody on WGR Rochester, or you can give us a call. Kyer Elam, I don't think, is the worst first-round pick of all time for the Buffalo Bills. There are 2 guys that I would say, well, you could say maybe Tom Cousineau if we were going way, way back, because he never reported. And this is before, like, you even really had advanced scouting or anything like that. It was like, oh, it'd be like us drafting. Like, oh, I like that guy on TV. Oh, he's really good. He'd be good on our team. I think that's how the Bills drafted wide receiver Jerry Butler from Clemson. Like, he shouldn't have been selected there. It was only because Ralph Wilson saw him playing in the Orange Bowl. I digress, though. So, like, you could go way, way back. And if you have an answer for way, way back, I would listen to that. I'm going to give you 2 that were actually worse than Kyer Elam. Because the Bills were still in that, boy, can we still get back to the postseason sort of window at the end of the 1990s. They took a defensive end named Eric Flowers. Eric, E-R-I-C-K Flowers. He was not good. He didn't last all that long. Just didn't seem to have the muscle or whatever it was. And that'll happen. You're drafting at the bottom of the first round. But I think clearly if we had a winner, because the Bills are selecting a, 26? Well, in the drought era, you're selecting quite often a lot higher than that. I'm going to give you 2 names. Mike Williams. Mike Williams. That was a draft choice in the 2nd draft by Tom Donahoe. That was somebody out of Texas. And it was regarded in the draft that year that Bryant McKinney was going to be like the top tackle coming out. And Bryant McKinney made it clear, I don't want to come to Buffalo. He was from Miami. He ends up in Minnesota. Not like Minnesota's weather is any better than Buffalo, but maybe it was just the organization. That's how people viewed Buffalo at the time. Like, I don't want to go to Buffalo. So the Bills did not select Bryant McKinney. They did not trade down. They took Mike Williams. And Mike Williams he had issues. He was on another radio station. They decided to do the Mike Williams show, and it was like episode number 2, where like it was supposed to be like at 9 a.m. What was it? Could you remember that show, Carlson McKenzie?
Yeah.
That was going way back. He wouldn't show up half the time. They ended up canceling the show like a month in, from what I heard, because like, okay, this is like, okay, that's warning sign number 1. Like, you want to be a radio person, just show up on time. He couldn't do that. But I would also submit Aaron Mabin. Sorry, Penn State fans. He was terrible for the Bills. Aaron Mabin. And the funny thing was, a lot of people were like, this guy's going way too high. He's a tweener. And I remember when the Bills selected Aaron Mabin, I was just so angry I turned off the TV right away. And everybody that was against that pick knew. He was cut after 2 years. He bounced around. To his credit, he still wanted to play. He was with the Bengals, the Jets, ended up in the CFL. Kind of recall that, afterward, he's like, my true calling is I'm an artist, and he decided to go somewhere else, do something else for life. There's nothing wrong with that, but from the Buffalo Bills standpoint, yeah, that did not pay off for the investment. So Kyrie Elam, like, okay, you see Kyrie Elam as a Chief, don't let that upset you today. It's just one of those footnotes that, all right, that didn't work out for Buffalo. In the Sean McDermott era, I think we could say that was the worst pick. That was one where, and maybe that's the thing, the common thread here, because a story that I heard, well, a couple of them when it came to Mike Williams, was one, they wanted McKinney, and then they got scared off by him not wanting to come here, so they just went to the next guy on the draft board. Don't do that. Do not do that. Sometimes that'll blow up in your face. The other part, too, was, if you remember what was going on in that draft, very unusual to have a franchise quarterback get dealt on draft weekend. And that was the storyline swirling the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots back and forth, and it's happening, it's not happening. And I think that forced Tom Donahoe to take his eye off the ball there. And yes, they got it done on day 2, and the Bills flipping a first-round pick the following year. It ended up being Vince Wilfork. That didn't work out. But Drew Bledsoe came in, and he brought credibility to a franchise that was craving it at the time. Didn't get to the postseason with Drew Bledsoe, but I think that kind of plays into it too. Like, how did you settle on Mike Williams? Like, did you not pick up on all the signals? Did you not think there was another option available for you on that? That's how I kind of view Kyrie Elam. I think that Trent McDuffie was the choice for the Buffalo Bills, and then they got sniped by the Chiefs. So does the word irony actually kind of fit into this? Because Trent McDuffie is now a Ram. The Chiefs got their best years out of McDuffie, and they flipped him, let him walk. Fine. Move on. And now Kyrie Elam, the guy that the Chiefs were like, no, you can take him. He ends up in Kansas City. So Bills news today. It's not really a Bills note, but just kind of a walk down memory lane. And it's kind of a reminder too that when it comes to these draft picks, like high percentage for all the work that goes into it, all the money that is spent, you really don't know the personality, the makeup of an individual. You don't know how things will kind of come into play. A lot of these guys flame out, and you're hoping for the best here for the Buffalo Bills when it comes to the draft. It kind of like there are things beyond the personality, makeup, and everything else. Like I said, Dalton Kincaid, has he been worth the investment of a first-round pick? Tim's making a frowny face.
No, not really.
No.
He's worth keeping around, but he hasn't hit the expectations of that first-round pick.
Correct. And then to hear Joe Brady, who was like one of these sound bites we were running, like, wait a second, Joe Brady, it's March. Now it's April. But in March at the owners' meetings, he's talking about How do he and the training staff limit the practice reps for Dalton Kincaid? Oh, no. Is that PCL injury never going to get any better? Or could it get actually worse if you work him out to like that's kind of but they picked up the 5th-year option. And I'm not going to say that was a mistake because it gives him one more year to figure it out. But by picking up the 5th-year option, I'd be stunned if there was some sort of, hey, let's sit down and hash out a long-term deal here with Dalton Kincaid. Anybody talking about that? No, I don't think we're talking about that. We're not worried. Like this time last year, we were all freaked out. I'm like, gosh, James Cook will be a free agent after this year. We can't let him get to free agency. And I ended up being great for both sides, did it not? Like James Cook had his best season, and the Bills, got themselves a little bit of security. There's no conversation about that with Dalton Kincaid. So, again, when we talk about these picks, which the NFL draft, 3 weeks from today. 3 weeks from today, the NFL draft. We'll be talking a lot of draft here, too, and the Sabres in the postseason. It is going to be a lot of fun. Paul Hamilton, Scott will be joining us here in just a little bit. Our phone number, again, 585-866-4326. Another move in the AFC West, and this has to be, I don't want to say the dumbest contract, but the way this is just kind of laid out, courtesy of Adam Schefter. So, not a surprise that the Raiders are saying, hey, we're going to, draft. They haven't said they're going to draft Mendoza. They will draft Mendoza. Trust me. So, when you see that the Raiders today signed Kirk Cousins, all right, well, that's just to get a veteran in the room, somebody that obviously they've had the conversation with him that they're like to work, him to work with Mendoza. I think Cousins, when he signed in Atlanta, had no idea that the Falcons are going to take Penix. This is different. If Cousins is going to be surprised that the Raiders take, then he lives in an alternate universe. But listen to the way Adam Schefter lays this out. Kirk Cousins will sign a 5-year, $172 million deal with the Raiders that in reality is a 1-year fully guaranteed $20 million deal that also contains a club option for 2 years at $80 million. What? This language, like that is just nonsense from an agent. Kirk Cousins not getting $172 million. You buried the lead there. It's 1 year, fully guaranteed at $20 million, and then there's options beyond that. And what would be the options? I don't know. Like in case, let's say Kirk Cousins ends up being the starter and the Raiders have this magical season. That's a real stretch. But don't sell me it's 5 years, $172 million when really it's 1 year, $20 million. I'd also say this too. Is that really worth it? $20 million? A $20 million babysitter you just hired.
A lot of it's being paid by Atlanta still.
$8 million.
Yeah.
$8 million. So there's that. But I don't think that Kirk Cousins has anything left in the tank, honestly. Like, he had a good game against Tampa down the stretch. Good for the Raiders that they made this investment. For the Bills, Josh Allen was able to kind of rise above, knowing that who did he have at the beginning? He had Nate Peterman. They brought in Derek Anderson. There were a lot of guys that just simply were not talented on that roster that just kind of flamed out. So will Mendoza be a hit or not? I don't think anybody's kind of putting him in that Andrew Luck sort of category that this guy is going to be it. You liked a lot of things in Indiana, but will it kind of translate? And it's kind of like any other quarterback you're taking in the top 10 there. That's how I kind of view it. Would it surprise me if it doesn't work at all? No. Shouldn't surprise anybody. But if you're the Raiders, you got to do it. You absolutely have to do it there. Well, I don't get why the Pirates did this, but today they called up Connor Griffin. Well, I get it. They did it. They should. He's the number one prospect in baseball. He would have been the first teenager to start on opening day and make his major league debut since Ken Griffey Jr. So that's kind of the class of player we're talking about, Connor Griffin. And then the Pirates didn't put him on the opening day roster. And I'm like, well, you cheapos. Okay. So what did Griffin do? Did he sulk? Did he get all pissy? Did he do? No, he goes to AAA Indianapolis, and in 5 games he hit 438. That's 21 plate appearances. And
You forced their hand.
Yeah, three stolen bases. So he is the first teenage position player to debut, because there's been some pitchers, but since Juan Soto in 2018. So you're a Pirate fan. Home opener against the Orioles tomorrow, and there will be Connor Griffin at shortstop. And that's look, are the Pirates a playoff team? No, they're not. I'm sorry. They're going to be fun. I do not like O'Neal Cruz. I think that O'Neal Cruz is a flawed player. He can't hit lefties. Terrible defensively. Those are the sort of things. They don't really have a first baseman. I'd like Brandon Lau picking him up. So that's your baseball note from today. The Red Wings home tonight against Scranton. Scheduled to be joined by Paul Hamilton from WGR Buffalo. Talk a little Sabres hockey here as Buffalo can get back to the postseason with a win tonight. Invite your calls as well at 585-866-4326. Gene Battaglia here with you on WGR Rochester.
Rochester Sports Update.
This is it. A win for the Sabres tonight, and Buffalo is back in the postseason. The team up in Ottawa. Marty Baron on Sabres Live today on the drought possibly ending.
If you ask me, will the Sabres win tonight? I'm saying yes, 100%. The drought for me, it doesn't end until game one of the playoffs because you never know. You never know what could happen tomorrow and the next week. So the drought doesn't end until you play a playoff game, and that's on game one. But I think the Sabres win tonight in Ottawa and clinch their playoff spot.
UPL, the starting goal, Sam Carrick, week to week with an arm injury. Noah Ostlund did not make the trip. Paul Hamilton joining us next year in the Sports Bar. Wings tonight hosting Scranton. Josh Allen and his wife, Haley Steinfeld, welcome into the world a baby girl. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
He is somebody that has spanned not only the drought, but you go back to the 90s, you go back before that, and he's a good friend of the show. Paul Hamilton joining us from north of the border. Paul, this is it. You were at the morning skate that just wrapped up. I mean, do you get the sense this isn't just another game, or are they treating this like just another game? The opportunity that the Sabres can, take care of matters with their own hands. Paul, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well. Erasmus Dahlin is treating it just as any other game, and he's waited 7 years to play in a game like this. But Lindy Ruff said he knows the players have it in the back of their minds, and they know what's going to happen if they win a hockey game, or if they take a hockey game and get the loser point out of it, and Philadelphia and Carolina both win, that would clinch a spot for them also. They're aware of it, but they can't obsess on it. As Darlene says, we just have to go out and play our game, play the way we're used to playing. He said it's a divisional game, and, they always feel like, and they have all season long, that if they play up to their standard, the standards that they have set for themselves this year, that the standings will take care of themselves.
Yeah, and it's every kind of question we had along the way, Paul, where you say, for example, coming out of the Olympic break, how would this look? Okay, everything they've answered all the questions. How about when the team I don't even want to call it a speed bump. It's hockey. You're not going to win every game, but just your thoughts on how. All right, the team dropped some points here recently, but it seems like hasn't deterred them at all.
No, I mean, they had 3 straight losses, but got points in 2 of them. And then now they've won their last 2. And one of the reasons is they stayed out of the penalty box. It was a parade to the penalty box that was killing them in the losses. They weren't killing penalties as well as they had been. But so that was one of the big things, is staying out of the penalty box. But just both the wins were like hard-fought, tough games. They weren't easy. They were 1-goal games. The Sabres had to come back in those games, and sometimes during the game they played well. Sometimes during the games they didn't, but they overcame it and figure out how to win a couple of hockey games and get back on the winning track. So, and that's basically what they've done all year. If they've had a slip up, they've been able to, get back on the winning track, and they haven't had too many slip ups since December 9th. But, that was the longest one of 3 games. Before the 3 games, though, they were winning games, but you could see it was starting to slip a little bit. And a lot of it was turnovers. They were turning the puck over a lot more than they had been. Some of it is they were monkeying around with the lineup a little bit to see what did they have in their new players. And, now I think we're going to see a more consistent lineup. The goalie rotation is over. Luukkonen is going to get his 3rd straight start. Metsä got a chance to play on the penalty kill. One of the reasons they wanted to put Timmins back in the lineup is the penalty kill had slipped a little bit. So, in the beginning of the year, the penalty kill was number 1 or 2 in the league with Timmins on the penalty kill. But Timmins was what he was all season long. Very good on the penalty kill in every game but one. He wasn't real good in the one, but turning the puck over 5-on-5. and that's the problem. So Zach Metz had gone down to Rochester, played 3 consecutive games, came back, and for the first time all year got a chance to kill some penalties last game. And today, Lindy Ruff said, look, he goes, I've watched him kill penalties at practice. He does a good job with it. And he goes, I just got to the point where it's like your 5 and 6 guys have to kill penalties. And it looks like, Metz is going to be either 5 or 6 guy. And he did fine. In the 1 or 2 times he got the opportunity to kill penalties. I knew he would. I didn't have any question in my mind that he could kill penalties. And Lindy Ruff finally just said, you know what? He's got to kill penalties. Let's go. And he said he was very happy with what he saw.
Yeah, following up on Metz here, because how many times over the years, Paul, from our perspective, I guess the Sabres always take our good players. This is Amherst fan talking. I think kind of the consensus here was, oh my gosh, they're sending Metz back? What are you doing here? You should you belong in Buffalo. Why did they send him back? Was it just, hey, you need some ice time here, let's keep you fresh, or was it as simple as that?
Lindy Ruff told Kevin Adams to go get Timmins. He wanted him badly. He did not like Connor Clifton, the way he used to turn the puck over as your number 6 defenseman. He thought they needed a change there. So he liked Timmins. So Timmins is Lindy Ruff's guy. So it was time to put in, and the penalty kill had not done well. They had only killed 3 out of 7 penalties in 2 games. So Timmins was ready to play. He wanted to put him in. So while he was doing that, it's like, well, Rochester's going to be playing games here because we're not even going to practice here probably for the next 3 or 4 days. So go ahead, let's send him down there. And Lindy Ruff described it as short term. No, I didn't know what Lindy Ruff's definition of short term was. He also said Gertson would be right back when he sent him down, and that never happened, nor should it have. But, so it turned out, played 3 games. Had 1 day off, played 1 game with the Sabres, so he had 4 games in 5 days. And, it seems like, the Timmins thing didn't work out. And let's be honest, you could take the eye test or you can take the analytics. Either one tells you that Zach Metz is the better player. Either one, easily. So it was like, okay, let's stop experimenting. He is their number 5 defenseman in my mind, and there's no question about it. He's earned it. He hasn't been on the ice for a goal against since October. 2 goals against in his NHL career he's been on the ice for. So he's earned this spot, and it looks like he's finally going to get it.
Paul Hamilton joining us from Ottawa. Pregame coverage tonight. WGR Rochester begins at 6 o'clock. This is a Sens team that they need the points too. They're just knocking on the door of the wild card, 2 points behind Columbus for that last spot. Following up on UPL, Paul, is that just kind of the similar thing, like eye test, analytics? Okay, it's not like Lyon was playing poorly, but if you can talk about what kind of job UPL is doing here, that these are now earning the number 1 spot.
Well, Lyon was playing poorly, but it was only for 2 games. The game before that, he had gotten a shutout. But for 2 games, he did not look good. At the Detroit game, he did not look good at all. He let in 2 goals. He's got to stop. If he was the Alex Lyon that we had seen for most of the year, they probably beat the Red Wings. So Luukkonen was still playing very, very well. And I wondered how long Lindy Ruff's rope was, and it was 2 games. And Luukkonen was playing well. Now, I didn't look it up after the last game, but before the last game, I looked it up, took it back to December 9th when this all started. And Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen led the league in save percentage at .922 since December 9th. And that is a big sample. It's not just a couple of games. So he was the league leader in save percentage. So I felt bad for him the last game, too, because they got a goal as time ran out on him. And it wasn't his fault. It was a pulled goalie situation in a 4-2 game. And he wound up giving up 3 goals. The puck went in kind of just before the horn went. And there was another goal that went off his stick, power skating in. That wasn't his fault either. So he's earned this. I asked Lindy Ruff if Luukkonen is now his number 1 goaltender. That was before the last start. And he said, no, I don't have. He goes, I have 2 number 1 goalies. He said Lyon has played well all season, and I still feel that I have two number one goalies. But, he's now given Luukkonen his third straight start. It wouldn't shock me if Lyon played in Washington Saturday, whether the game matters or not. And then they would come back with Luukkonen for the rematch against Tampa on Dingus Day on Monday.
Yeah, boy. That's quite a schedule we got coming up here. Paul Hamilton joining us from Ottawa. 2 points for the Sabres tonight, and they will officially be back in the postseason. This is a Sabre team that's had some injuries. Paul, if you can kind of update us here. Sam Carrick going down in that fight, not available tonight. Also, what's kind of going on with Noah Ostlund? Is there anything else that we need to be filled in on here?
Ostlund is still skating on his own. Lindy Ruff said he could walk in tomorrow and be fine. It's the type of injury that they just got to wait on. They really don't have a timetable in their minds even. It's just going to be when Ostlund tells him he's ready. And as far as Carrick goes, he's week to week, but Ruff is not ruling him out that he will come back at some point. What that point is, I don't know. I don't know if they got to get to the third round of the playoffs. I don't know what it might be, but that's all he said, week to week, but did not rule him out to returning at some point.
Paul, I'm going to go off the board here a little bit. This is going back to Tuesday night, and you're somebody that you spent a lot of time in Rochester over the years, going back to the 90s there. When Don Stevens would do the TV broadcasts, you would come down and do the radio. I don't know, you had many board ops over the years, including me. It's like once or twice. But Don, and to hear Don get the call up and do one period, I mean, my gosh, I'm like, what world are we living in? We all kind of sat up with pride here in Rochester. What did that? What are your thoughts on Don Stevens? Wrapping up a 40-year run with the Rochester Americans.
Well, everything I know, play-by-play, I learned from him. I mean, I was doing Batavia High School games when they needed a guy, but the Sabres were out, so John Gertler actually went down and did it because he was the former Amark announcer. And then they listened to my tape. He and Randy Scott listened to my tape in the summer, and Don called me and said, look, we need a second guy for when I do TV. Do you want to do that? So that was just all he did is listen to the high school games that I did at Batavia and gave me the opportunity. And for 13 years, I believe, somewhere in there, 13, 15 years, whatever it was, I was doing Amark games, including when they won the Calder Cup for John Tortorella at home. I called Game 7 on the radio with John Bednarski, and Don was doing the TV. So, I got the opportunity to do that. When Martin Biron was down there, I was his horseshoe. I mean, he played, I think, 11 or 12 games that I broadcast. His goals against was under 1. It was like .92 or something like in games I did. It was something like 12 games, and he had 6 shutouts or 7 shutouts in the games I did. And he finally said to me, he goes, well, when I make the NHL, I wasn't traveling back then. He goes, you have to travel to all my games.
Of course.
The horseshoe didn't work up in the NHL for Marty, but it certainly did in Rochester. But all that was because of Don Stevens and the opportunity that he gave me and what he taught me.
Yeah, it's Don Stevens night, actually 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Providence will be coming in. Don, by the way, will be coming in studio tomorrow, and they're planning a lot of surprises. That's going to be a memorable night here in Rochester. One last one. You brought up Torts, and this was on my list. How do you think that's going to work out in Vegas?
He'll be fine. I mean, it seems like after a while he wears out his welcome with his style, but he's a good coach, knows what he's doing, demanding, and it seems to work, wherever he goes for a while. Mm-hmm. And then it doesn't work. Pete DeBoer's like that. So I think in the interim, he can probably get Vegas going again, and I don't know if he can get him to the Stanley Cup or whatever, but at least, I mean, they're in an easy division. Get him in the playoffs, maybe make some noise because he's new to that group. And as I said, he knows coaching. He knows how to motivate players. It's just he gets old after a while.
Why is there any debate about the coach of the year? I honestly, like, in terms of where the Sabres are now from where they were, or do we just need to, invent a debate? Should it not just go to Lindy Ruff? Can we just give that award out now, Paul? Or am I missing something? Are there other worthy candidates here?
Well, a lot of people didn't expect Tampa to be doing what they were doing just because they're getting old in the tooth and everything. And, you look at what they've been able to accomplish. I mean, at least John Cooper would be in the conversation. And look at what's happening in Columbus with Rick Bowness. He's doing the same thing with Columbus as what Lindy Ruff did with Buffalo. I mean, they've just been a juggernaut since he's become their coach. So at the end of the day, I think it's probably between Bowness and Lindy Ruff. But there are a few candidates around.
Paul will be, doing the intermissions tonight, talking to some of the players coming off the ice with Brian Koziol. You'll hear him in the pregame as well, and certainly the postgame. Paul, keep up the great work and safe travels following tonight. Appreciate the time today.
No problem. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Paul Hamilton, joining us here. Yeah, that was 96, 97. With, the Amherst winning their last Calder Cup. It's been a minute there. And if you can imagine a world where, like, the games ended up on local television at that time. And, yeah, when the MSG was picking up some games last time the Amherst made a deep run.
Yeah.
But you can do that now, just as the Sabres do, with the simulcast call. Back then you couldn't do that. It was a lot more difficult. And Paul was doing a lot of Amherst hockey. And then kind of parlay that to where he's now. He has been a fixture. He is, like, in my opinion, the dean of the Sabres hockey media. Some may say it's Harrington. I'm going to say it's Hamilton, and I'm biased. We have time for your calls. 866-4326. That's the area code of 585. We will talk a little more Sabres hockey next hour. Matthew Fairburn from The Athletic will stop by, and we'll continue the conversation because, look, this is an afternoon. We're looking forward to tonight, and it's a night that if you're a Sabres fan, you've been waiting for more than a decade. And sorry, Jet fans. Or maybe if you're a Jet fan, now you can take pride. It's no longer a debate. Who's got the longest drought? Well, it's the Sabres and the Jets, but by the timing of the seasons, they always kind of bounce back between the two. Following tonight, it'll be the New York Jets. Look, I said tonight, too. I think they get it done. Hopefully I didn't jinx them. Timmy's Take coming up next. My name is Gene Battaglia here on WGR Rochester. Here for Window Nation. Spring has arrived, and it's a great time to open your windows. Wait, your windows won't open easily. They're leaked. They leak when it rains. They have cracked glass. They need repainting again. Getting top-quality custom-fit windows from Window Nation is easy and affordable. Right now, during the More You Buy, the More You Save sale, you can save up to 50% off all your windows. Plus, you could get them for 0 interest for 5 years. During uncertain times, one of the best investments you can make in your home is your home. In fact, experts report that windows retain 80% of their value. With Window Nation, you'll get windows that easily slide open and closed. They're made with top-quality seals, so they won't leak when it's rainy or windy. And unlike other windows, they're maintenance-free. They're so good, Window Nation stands behind them with a lifetime warranty. And they're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. Don't wait to put an end to your window problems. Save big with Window Nation's The More You Buy, The More You Save sale. Going on now. Sale ends soon, so visit windownation.com for a consultation.
I know that hiring can be challenging.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Thanks to Paul Hamilton. We'll be talking more Sabres coming up next hour with Matthew Fairburn from The Athletic. As the Sabres tonight here on WGR Rochester, 7 o'clock. A little after that for the puck drop, 6 o'clock for the pregame coverage. You can write to us, our handle on X, at WGR Rochester. As our good buddy Greg writing in, Gene, we have a saying in the military, embrace the suck. Now this can apply to Timmy's embrace the suck of takes.
It's now time for Terrible Time Timmy's terrible take of the day on WGR Rochester. WGR Rochester. It's Terrible Time Timmy.
And you have to watch on YouTube just to see Tim's face when that plays. Since we're talking about being girl dads, okay, one of the things I had to do as a girl dad, okay, when we took the big trip down to the big city to go see Times Square, they have a restaurant there. It's called Ellen's Starlight Cafe. And if you're a girl dad, you're nodding your head if you've ever been there. You have to wait in line, and when you get in line, it's just a bunch of Broadway hopefuls that haven't made it, and this is what they're doing to try to, pay their rent. And they all sing like this, and they all do the cabaret, and they're all singing. So with that, it's time for Tim Schneider.
All right, you want a terrible take? I got one. By popular demand, I can give you one that I know you will despise. Josh Allen, as you just mentioned, now distracted. He has a child now. Football is no longer his baby. His job is no longer his number one priority. I say you move Josh Allen to the Oakland Raiders for Max Crosby and the number one pick. You get Fernando Mendoza on a rookie deal. Josh Allen gets to be the Raiders' problem, and then they can just rescind the Kirk Cousins idea from a couple hours ago.
Okay.
Josh Allen, Raiders. Confirmed.
Number one, if he goes to the Oakland Raiders, that's quite a story. That's quite a story, Tim.
Wow.
As I could tell, you're just pulling things out of your backside there, buddy. That's a variation of the who is that? Hot Take Hickey, who's out of the radio business now. He said, I'm out of this. Like, hey, do you want to come on the show? This is last summer. He's like, no, I'm leaving radio. Okay. Adios. Good luck to you, Ryan. The guy who had that, the Bills should trade for no, come on. It's I would listen to the story here with Josh is, how does this all end? We're living in the moment, and the moment is fantastic with Josh Allen. That the MVP 2 years ago, last year, very, very good. Poor playoff performance against Denver. We can all agree on that, but the guy's playing on a broken foot. Literally, he's got a broken bone in his foot. So I think we all cut Josh Allen just a little bit of slack. He is not married to just any actress. She was in an Oscar-winning movie. Her career is at a level just like him. Okay, so Haley Steinfeld, absolutely. So how do you manage this now? Well, she's going to probably make some sacrifices here. Is she not? Like, the baby's going to be in Western New York for a lot of the time? Or are they based on the West Coast? And he's got to fly back the whole time? I don't know what Haley's work schedule is going to be like, but this is where the end game comes. And it's not a recycled take because it's just my opinion, just restating it here, that if Josh Allen wins a Super Bowl in Buffalo, and I do believe he will, I don't know if it's going to be this season, but I do believe it, does he retire a Buffalo Bill?
I think it might be just the same way as the John Elway track. It might be his final year. So, yeah, sure.
It could be. Yeah, it could be. It could be that where he's just going to grind and finally over the top. And, like for Elway, everybody, I'm sorry, I didn't put you on camera, Tim. There you go. At some point, yes. Whether it's this year or whether it's 7 years from now, and I don't know how, the span of Josh Allen's career, but if he wins, and if there is a window where if he says, hey, I need to be closer to my family and I need to kind of – I don't know how that looks. But we're all living in the moment. And the one thing Josh Allen did last year, got married in May, right? And nobody was supposed to know the date, but that big mouth, Deion Dawkins, mentioned it. Like, okay, that's the date. Yep. And apparently Deion's going to the wedding. Well, when Josh Allen got back there for the mandatory June minicamp, which was only like a week after he got married, I mean, Tim, if you got married, I'd be like, hey, bud, how'd it go? Like, Josh, when that was asked, like, football. So I would expect, like, he'll say something brief about being a girl dad, and maybe, or maybe not. Maybe this is different where
He does keep his private life very private.
yeah, and I understand that 100%. I think we all respect that. I mean, they went to great lengths to protect their wedding. There was some paparazzi that got in, but like as far as like pictures from the dance floor or videos, think about that. Like in the day and age where like everybody has a cell phone. I don't know if anybody was allowed to have their cell phone in there. Nothing got out that really shouldn't have. So the idea that you're just throwing out that nonsense just to try to rile me up there about the Raiders, but I'm just saying that I think we should have that conversation that with Josh Allen in his personal life, would he actually finish his career out? I'll give you another example, Tim. Like, who was the best Buffalo Bill of all time up until 1977?
You got it, Juice. When Chris and I broke up, the Juice was there for me every night. It's like he's not really the Juice anymore. We gotta get you dressed, Juice. Juice, a will? Juice. Come on, Juice. Juice! Juice, it's AC. Juice! AC's here! Juice, I heard Juice. It's on every channel. You know I feel the same, Juice. You're gonna tell them yourself, Juice. Juice, your whole family's here, Juice. She's on the house phone waiting to talk to you, Juice. Juice. Okay, Juice? Okay, Juice, we're good to go. You're home, Juice. You know Uncle Juice, and your Uncle Juice is a good man. He's never gonna stop being the Juice. It could explain a lot, Juice. Just hear him out, Juice. He's right, Juice. Listen, Juice. Juice, this is your life. Juice, please, Juice. Juice, we need an answer.
All right, so we officially connected news today that Josh Allen, he's a girl dad to somehow O.J. Simpson and that soundbite. But O.J. Simpson didn't finish his career as a Buffalo Bill and was, I'm sure, and this is way before my time, a big story. The 49ers, this is pre-Bill Walsh. They were a woebegone franchise at that point. They flip a first-round pick just to get, some notoriety at the time. And, boy, did they get notoriety looking back. And it was just to do O.J. a solid because that's where he was from. And then I'm going to put Timmy on the spot here. For that first-round pick, eventually, what did the Bills parlay that into?
Jim Kelly?
That's correct.
I know ball.
Yep, that's correct. So there you go. It all comes together here in the sports bar. Thank you, Tim.
You're
for
welcome.
Your terrible take.
I'll try to be worse tomorrow.
We will take your calls, 866-4326, area code 585. My name is Gene Battaglia, along with our fine producer, Tim Schneider. Also, Dan DeLorean in the background helping us out a ton here on WGR Rochester.
WROCAM, WBEE HD2, and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. WGR Rochester. Sports Update.
This is it. 2 points for the Sabres tonight, and they are back in the postseason for the first time since 2011. Team up in Ottawa. Marty Baron on the opponents.
Ottawa's a good team. Ottawa's a team that I really like. They have some guys on that team that can play with a chip on their shoulders. I think this is a chip on their shoulders type of game for the Ottawa Senators coming back home after the Florida trip. So that's what I would expect. Playing with a little bit of an edge in that game tonight.
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen to start once again in goal. Sam Carrick week to week with an arm injury. Noah Ostlund did not make the trip. Matthew Fairburn from The Athletic will join us later this hour. Rochester Red Wings hosting Scranton tonight. The Pirates have called up their top prospect shortstop Connor Griffin. Congratulations to Josh Allen and his wife Haley Steinfeld. They welcome a baby girl. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
You're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coke, it's sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master show. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gene and Tim have things much hotter than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres! Bills, Americans, Red Wings, and Nighthawks. Sports bar. For Rochester Sports Talk.
Rochester Proud here in the sports bar. You found us. 585-866-4326 is our phone number. You can hit us up on X, our handle, WGR Rochester. We're on YouTube. We are on Twitch, 95.7 FM and AM 950, and always free in the Odyssey app. Gene Battaglia with you as we will talk more Sabres here coming up in just a little bit. Matthew Fairburn from The Athletic. We're doubling up on the Sabre talk today because, hey... This is big, I think. We knew this was going to happen, but tonight is a night that you hope the Sabres, if you're a fan, get it done. Don't have somebody else do the work for you. As in that soundbite Marty Baron pointed out, though, it's not an Ottawa team that's a pushover here. They're the first team out of the playoffs right now. Just 2 points behind Columbus. And that wild card race is kind of nutty. Columbus, Ottawa, Detroit, Philadelphia, Washington. That's 5 teams separated by 3 points.
For one spot.
One spot. Yeah, and Boston, they're not locked in. But then if you want to throw in the Islanders, too, because the Islanders are at 89 points, they could slide off the map. And you could have Washington actually kind of jumping up, being in the top 3. So look, this doesn't concern none of the Sabres. How did we get from a point where this team was at the bottom of the conference where we're just skipping past these steps? And who knows? Maybe this is the magical year. We were joined earlier by Paul Hamilton and Sam Carrick, fourth-line center. Dunn is going to go in there tonight. For Carrick, that's week to week, not so sure. Sounds like Ostlund's close to returning, but he didn't make the trip. And it's Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen time. He is now the guy. So until otherwise, the goalie rotation has stopped. Now, as Paul pointed out, maybe you give Alex Lyon the game down in Washington. I'd be fine with that. Just try to keep UPL fresh. And, Lyon, look, he deserves, I think, another chance here. You want to certainly keep him sharp and ready when we get to the postseason. Our phone number, 866-4326, is the number to call. Following up on some stuff on X, as Chris from South Central Kentucky writing in, biggest drought-era first-round draft bust for the Bills has to be J.P. Lossman. The only one that can you think anywhere close to that would be Sammy Watkins. Brought this up because don't get upset. And if you know a Chiefs fan, if you have a friend that's a Chiefs fan, I wouldn't point and laugh that the Chiefs brought in Kyer Elam. Kyer Elam's going to be one of the 90, right? And Kyer Elam is only getting camp invites because he was a former first-round pick. But I think it's pretty clear, like in the McDermott era, now that that's done, that's the worst of the first-round picks. That's somebody that gave you really nothing. I mean, not a bad guy. Look, we always have to put that out there. But if I'm going back to the drought era of the Buffalo Bills, Aaron Maben was a 0. Sammy Watkins, talented. Sammy Watkins did some things in the league afterward. He was with the Chiefs right when Mahomes showed up on the scene. But in Buffalo, that foot injury kind of took him out. Eric Flowers was a 0. I mean, the Bills have had some notable misses over the years, but to me, like if you're going way, way back, Tom Cousineau, because he didn't play here, Perry Tuttle was the guy. I think I said Jerry Butler earlier. Somebody corrected me that Perry Tuttle was the wide receiver from Clemson in the 80s that flamed out. So my apologies on that. You're always welcome to fact check me too. And then also you've got other ones. Cousineau, Perry Tuttle. To me, it's Aaron Maben. Aaron Maben picked 11th overall. And again, just bring this up today because what do you know? You've got Kyrie Elam back in the league now with the Kansas City Chiefs. That's not your Bills' top story. We don't have a name yet for baby girl Allen. I guess that's the next thing we'll kind of learn along the way there. So Josh Allen, a girl dad, and everybody that becomes a parent, okay, it's a different world. You have a different responsibility. You don't get to sleep sometimes. Like, how does that work? I mean, there's so many questions I'd like to ask Josh Allen, but he puts up kind of the, which, it's understandable. Like, you're not allowed inside of someone's private life. Like, that's pretty private. But it would just be if they were a friend, curious, hey, how's she sleeping? How's it kind of going? I would imagine they've got some help there when it comes to, raising the child there, especially when you would think that one is working on one coast, one working on the other coast. Bills OTAs, they're going to be starting before you know it. And what Brandon Beane said earlier this week in Arizona, that Josh Allen's going to be ready to go coming off that foot surgery. So that is certainly fantastic news for the Allen family that they had a baby girl this morning. One basketball note, sort of. Adrian Autry found a job. He is now with the Virginia Cavaliers as an assistant. So not much I can comment on that other than, hey, Adrian, we wish you well there, bud. That was one where I think, when did we kind of realize, oh, gosh, this is not going to work out? The Tennessee win, but for me it was going out there in December and seeing them play a not very good Clemson team and just like, this is all disjointed. It's not working. The Dome, it's a holiday week. It's a holiday, technically, New Year's Eve. A lot of people off, right? Although not a federal holiday. Like, you should be packing the Dome. And it was just a morose atmosphere. I'm like, okay, this is not going to work. Like, can we just get to the end of the story here? And now the end of the story has Jerry McNamara, a new beginning, and Adrian Autry now down in Virginia. And then they say, good for Adrian Autry. Everybody deserves to kind of make a living. Football note here, and this is a little spice to the Niners-Rams rivalry. So this is the weird game that's going to start over down under in Australia. And I'm sure we'll be so starved for football, we'll all eat it up and love it. They're going to be playing their time over there, 10:30 in the morning on a Wednesday, which would equate to prime time here on the East Coast on a Thursday. That's not ideal for either team, but it's the Rams who agreed to do this, not the Niners. Like, that's unusual to put a division game, especially a division game with some weight. Can you imagine putting Bills-Patriots over in London? This is a Niners-Rams. They were in the NFC Championship game not very long ago. Kyle Shanahan has a take on this. He says the Rams requested that the Niners be the opponent. He says that his team, the Niners, got sent to Australia on purpose. Quote, I know for a fact the Rams requested us. That's what's so bothersome. That would suck to have to do a silent cadence and then have to go our home game at their stadium. I get their ambitions, but they were rewarded for that. Wow. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I kind of forgot that angle, that the Rams, for whatever reason, get overrun by Niner fans, almost like Leaf fans and Sabre fans. But during the drought, you got to understand why, okay, the Leafs are right up the road. Okay, Northern California, not exactly up the road, but it's Los Angeles, the second biggest metro, and there might be a lot of displaced Niner fans, as Rome would say, from NoCal. And to the fact that you're the home team having to do a silent count. My goodness. So I appreciate that from Kyle Shanahan. I would normally hit the hot uniform talk sounder, but
I don't know where it is.
Well, number one, don't know where it is. Number two, I don't think it's even hot uniform talk because got the notification that the Atlanta Falcons are going to unveil their new uniforms today. I'm like, whoa, okay. And so the Falcons do this, and every social media team, they have to do this now where they want to show you they know how to use drones, they know how to use software editing and everything they learned in college, right? Or wherever they learned their skills. And so I'm watching this video from the Falcons, and it's the shot of all these iconic buildings in Atlanta and everything else and just little flashes of the uniform. I'm like, okay, can we just get to this? Show me the darn video. Show me the uniforms. Show me the uniforms. And it's like the meme of the girl, the woman from The Office, Pam, who says, tell me the difference between these two. And she says, they're the same one. Look at this. I can't tell what is the difference in the new Falcon uniform. Maybe the fact that they have the socks are a little more red, and that will bring a little more red as the emphasis. Tim, do you have this up?
I do, and I think the answer is that red is the primary home jersey note, and they like flip-flopped it with the throwback. It's instead of black at home, it's red at home.
So there's no real
nothing changed the color.
New. There's nothing really new, unless you're just a uniform junkie that you're going to tell me, well, the piping here changed and the font is a little bit different. New uniform should mean, oh, wait, that's absolutely no. Now, coming up here later this month, the Commanders are getting new uniforms, and I think that would be kind of welcome. And will they dial it back if there's still the Commanders and maybe kind of go with like a Florida State look? I don't know how they're going to do this. Some people are saying go back to the days they were called the former team name, and I don't think we should do that either. This is my opinion, and if you are upset by that, well then great. That's my job to upset you. But I'm curious what the Commanders uniforms are going to look like. That to me says, all right, do something different here, but I don't think you go away from the burgundy and gold on that. But okay, so I'm not crazy. Those Falcons uniforms are not really new. It's just that, all right, we're gonna make the red jerseys the primary. Like if they went to like red, like go back and like make it red and gray from the Fulton County Stadium Barkowski era, that would be kind of cool. But be honest, do you know a Falcon fan? I do not. That is like the one. There's the displaced fans for every team, I believe. Even I know a few Carolina fans. Jacksonville, if you're that, hey, I want to choose something different. Atlanta's one of those teams or even in their hometown, they're the second favorite team. It's Georgia or whoever the SEC team you kind of grew up with. Atlanta, to me, just does not have that same sort of passion. Baseball, not a lot happening on the major league schedule today. The Mets will be going out to San Francisco. The news out of Pittsburgh today, and yay for the Pirates. Took 5 games. What are we doing? So the Pirates coming back home. Their home openers tomorrow against the Orioles. Connor Griffin, the 19-year-old shortstop, gets called up. And I thought the Pirates were monkeying around with manipulation time, like how the Jays did this to Vlad Guerrero years ago. Like, why are you still in Buffalo? You should be up in Toronto. Hopefully we're getting away from all that. But when Griffin's batting, through the first 5 games there, .432, you don't belong in Indianapolis. You belong in the major leagues. So at least for Pirate fans, I don't think you're a playoff team. I know some people are. That's kind of a chic pick that they're going to. No. There's a lot of things you need on that team, but you're not a pushover. You might be a little entertaining. So let's start there. That should be fair. The Pirates aren't, as an organization, though, serious, though. Until, Skeens will not be a Pirate. There's a lot of teams in baseball that aren't serious. The Miami Marlins, for example, are not a serious franchise. But they have a guy that's dealing right now. I don't know if you saw this. Sandy Alcantara. Complete game shutout. Just 93 pitches. Okay, it was the White Sox. Whatever. They're a major league team. But that's still a complete game shutout on April the 1st. That's not really supposed to happen this time of year. Alcantara was really good. Then he had Tommy John in 2024. And then when you have Tommy John, it's not like you're back the next year. You almost need a full year recovery. So this is what it looks like. Why am I bringing this up? Well, if you're a fan of, insert your team here, Yankees, Red Sox, Mets, Phillies, whatever, this is going to be a name that I think is going to be bandied about because the Marlins hold a club option next season for $21 million. I would expect him to be the top name in trade rumors this year. This is somebody prior to Tommy John was an ace, and now he's showing you that he's got the good stuff. Not only has he got the good stuff, but I love the attitude here. So what happens now in Major League ballparks is that, you used to be like, and there's the final score. Drive home safely. I'm Kevin Spears. Thanks for coming here to Red Wings Baseball. Getting in my late friend's name there. But that's not the case now anymore. It's you go downfield, and then they have the in-house person. Let's get the player of the game, and then you get the Gatorade dump, and it's kind of silly, like for a game in April. But there was the Marlins on-field interview yesterday, and Alcantara just lights up the fans. Quote: "The fans are not here, but we still love them." Announced crowd yesterday, 6,600 down in Miami. Like, as far as teams that should move in sports, and because of that stadium, they're not going to move. Miami does not deserve a Major League Baseball team, or maybe they're just marketing it all wrong. Like, you see the passion for baseball when we get the World Baseball Classic there. I would think that Sandy Alcantara should draw something more than 6,600. I mean, are there not enough retirees from the New York Metro down there that's have nothing better to do other than to go take in Marlins and White Sox? I don't know, but that's embarrassing. 6,600. I mean, if we get good weather on Friday this week, doubleheader Good Friday for the Red Wings, I'm hoping I feel like we need a redo on opening day for the Red Wings, by the way. But if it ends up being nice on Good Friday for a doubleheader with the Yankees affiliate, I mean, gosh, could you come close to that? I'll tell you what's going to exceed 6,600. That'll be the Amerks coming up Saturday. Don Stevens Day. Don will be in studio with us tomorrow. That's going to be special. I'm going on Saturday. I'm not going to miss it. Tim, unfortunately, I know you got to work back here in the studio, but Don certainly has tremendous respect for you.
Yes.
Don has more respect for you than I do, apparently. So that's
at least he didn't make a song that makes me want to put my head through a wall.
Well, it's not too late. Maybe I can encourage Don to do that. We're talking about Pittsburgh. They're getting the NFL draft. Segue alert. Pittsburgh prepares for the NFL draft to welcome the nation to the unofficial beginning of the football season. The city's kickoff celebration will begin with an unforgettable invite-only night of music. The night before takes place Wednesday, April 22nd at the Rivers Casino Event Center featuring Jason Aldean, John Morgan, and Shane Profit. Visit Odyssey.com/thenightbefore to enter now for your chance to win this national contest. Now, your prize includes round-trip airfare, 2-night hotel stay, and 2 tickets to the show. Odyssey.com/thenightbefore. Good luck here from WGR Rochester. We will talk some hockey coming up next. Matthew Fairburn from The Athletic will join us. We also have time for your calls on the other side during last call. That is the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line, 866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
A win for the Sabres tonight, and for the first time since 2011, they will be back in the postseason, the team in Ottawa. Marty Barant today on Sabres Live on the possibility of the drought ending.
If you ask me, will the Sabres win tonight? I'm saying yes, 100%. The drought for me, it doesn't end until game one of the playoffs because you never know. You never know what could happen tomorrow and the next week. So the drought doesn't end until you play a playoff game, and that's on game one. But I think the Sabres win tonight in Ottawa and clinch their playoff spot.
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen once again to start in goal. Sam Carrick week to week with an arm injury. Noah Ostlund did not make the trip. Matthew Fairburn from The Athletic joining us next year in the Sports Bar. Wings are home tonight. The Range should taper off. Scranton the opponent. Josh Allen and his wife Haley welcome a baby girl. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
If you go back to the starting days of the Sports Bar, we used to do a segment when he was on the Bills beat, Fairburn Friday, and it's not quite Friday, but you know what? It is going to be a celebration like we're going into a holiday weekend for Sabre fans tonight if the drought officially ends. And Matthew Fairburn joining us from Ottawa, and Matthew, appreciate it, or technically not Ottawa, but outside in the suburbs there. But Matthew, thanks for your time today. Is there a vibe today from the Sabres that tonight means a little bit more, or are they treating this just like any other weeknight road game here? Matthew, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I would say the morning skate was businesslike. They're kind of. I think what's happened with this team is reaching the playoffs is it's a big deal when you haven't made it for 14 years, right? And it was this big, lofty goal they've had for so long to be the team and that ends the drought. And the drought's been hanging over things and putting a lot of pressure on these guys. But I feel like something happened along the way this year where they've set the bar so much higher than that. And, just making the playoffs is really just the start of what they're trying to accomplish. So I think that's helped them not make too much of tonight. If this were game 80, right, and things were coming down to the wire, they would probably have, a much different feeling. But they are looking at first place in the division. They're looking at first place in the conference, potentially. Those things matter a lot to them as well. That said, I'm sure post-game, if they pull it off, there's going to be, an evening to celebrate what they've done because it's a big deal. But it does feel like right now, in the moment, what served them so well this year is taking everything one game at a time, blocking everything out. And it certainly feels like this morning they were in that frame of mind, very businesslike.
Matthew, would love to get your insight on this because in sports, not just in hockey, in sports, this doesn't normally happen like this. Normally, it's a team that will take steps along the way, like the Bills make the postseason, and then the next year they get a home game, then the AFC Championship game. You know my point. Like, we've kind of skipped over. When I look at right now the wild card race, there are like 6 teams within just a few points of one another, but the Sabres, we just kind of blew past that step here. So, how unusual is it, in your opinion, just in hockey and in sports, that you have a team? We could say that this team is actually a title contender, correct? We're not exaggerating here, are we?
I think when you're one of the 5 best teams in the league, when you have the best record since December 9th, I'd say you're a threat to go all the way. Paul Maurice said it at one point earlier this year that the Eastern Conference is going to be wide open for whoever makes it because a lot of the, powers from the last few years have dropped off. And I think that's a little bit of what's happened here. I keep thinking back to Don Granato saying something, he had such a pragmatic long-term view, and it probably is what ended up costing him a little bit, is that he was looking too much in the long term, and Sabres didn't really have the patience. But he would always say, eventually it's going to turn. Eventually some of these teams are going to age out and they're going to take a step back, and you need to be ready to be that team that matures into it. And so in a way it did happen overnight, and it is somewhat unusual, like you say. I mean, I guess you could say the Patriots were a little bit similar this year, right? Like they went from not being real good to all of a sudden they're in the Super Bowl. Maybe it's more common in football because you can turn over a roster and rebuild really quickly. But I think if you zoom out and you look at that 91-point season the Sabres had, and then they have, some of the setbacks the last couple of years, it was overnight, but it wasn't at the same time. This is a group that's been maturing, and aging curves in the NHL will tell you that, at a certain point you reach a critical mass of games and guys really start to figure out the league. So it was a long, 14 years, obviously, of the drought, but really this group's probably endured about 5 of that. And, I think there were some signs of progress along the way, but to go from last place to this is insane. I mean, you saw it with the Blues in 2019, but this has to be one of the great in-season turnarounds in league history.
Matthew Fairburn from The Athletic joining us. Sabres in Ottawa tonight. Like most teams, you're going to have injury concerns, and you have Sam Carrick. What do we know about the Carrick injury? The idea, could the Sabres get Carrick back perhaps for the postseason? And who fills in the interim here, Matthew?
So he's week to week, according to Lindy Ruff. Lindy Ruff did not, rule him out for the postseason or the rest of the season, but I think it's getting to the time of year where the injury updates are a little bit difficult to take at face value, I guess I'll say, right? I think Lindy Ruff is going to play his hand, Noah Oslin's day to day, and then he's out a week. It's just the nature of it right now. Lindy Ruff generally can be a little bit vague with injuries, but I think we're going to see even more of that. Obviously, week to week suggests, you can look at it, and I don't know exactly what he hurt, but it didn't look good. And week to week suggests it'll take, I would think, at least the rest of the regular season to heal up. So Josh Dunn was skating in his place at morning skate, which I'd say if there's an upshot here, obviously Sam Carrick was a perfect fit. When they got him at the trade deadline, I think he's winning 57% of his faceoffs, which is a big reason why they brought him in, scoring some goals. He's willing to fight, which is what ended up getting him hurt in this case. So it's hard to overstate how good a fit he's been. But if there is an upshot to this, it's that if the Sabres have depth in one area at forward, it's fourth line type of players. They have Dunn, they have Kozak, they have Pearson. Greenway's in the lineup right now at left wing. So they can remake that fourth line with a few different pieces. And they even have, he's been up on the top line, Peyton Krebs, but he's, more than capable of playing a fourth line type of game as well. So they got Carrick for a reason, to stabilize that fourth line, and he's done just that. But they had some good stretches of play from the fourth line earlier this year with Josh Dunn in the lineup, and Mallenstein's still healthy, and now Greenway's healthy. So they do have, I think, the necessary pieces to withstand this injury, even though Carrick was just playing so well.
Yeah, Matthew Fairburn giving us some good stuff here, joining us from suburban Ottawa tonight, where the Sabres will get the 2 points. They are officially in the postseason. Matthew, go back to the end of last week. I was surprised when I got the alert as Amherst fans here, like, wait a second, Zach Metza is coming back. I mean, Matthew, we've done this show for many, many years, and generally Amherst fans are like, okay, the Sabres take too much. This is different. People here were kind of like, wait, what are you doing back here? And I'm sure Sabre fans are saying the same thing. Why did he come back, in your opinion, and should he just stay up in Buffalo once and for all here?
I think he will be up in Buffalo once and for all. I think they got him back to keep him playing, keep him sharp. And Lindy Ruff said at the time that it would probably be a short-term thing. They had Connor Timmins get healthy, get back into the lineup. He was playing a big role on the penalty kill. And, they had it in their plan. They had the back-to-back Friday, Saturday, so it was like they're not going to practice. He's not going to get a lot of ice. Might as well get him playing. And then Timmins had a rough game on Saturday, all of a sudden, I thought practice Monday, Michael Kesselring's playing on that pair with Logan Stanley, and I thought, okay, maybe this is when they get Kesselring back in the lineup. But then I think it was that afternoon that they called Metza back up, and it's like, all right, he's going back in. And, the interesting thing on Tuesday was that Lindy Ruff gave him a shift on the penalty kill, which they really haven't done hardly at all this season. And it's been the big question mark in my mind about whether he'll actually be on that pair in the playoffs, because you need to be able to kill penalties if you're a number 5 or number 6 defenseman. It's sort of non-negotiable in that role, especially in the postseason. If games go to overtime, like you can't put too much on your top 4 in terms of minutes and workload. So the fact that they put him out there, and Lindy Ruff said today, like, he's watched him do it in practice, and he sees no reason why he can't do it. And size is the issue on the penalty kill. You want as much length as possible from your defenseman, and Metza is obviously not the tallest guy on the ice, but some of the things he's good at do translate to the penalty kill. I think he's really good in puck battles. I think he has great balance, on his skates, and, is really smart about the angles he takes to win those battles. And I think he's strong enough on his stick to, like, get the clears, make the smart play, make the simple play. I think it can translate to killing penalties, even if you're giving up. I mean, you're giving up a significant amount of time and space, ice, with a guy that's a little bit shorter because he doesn't have the reach. But if he's smart enough to overcome it, which I think Metza is, and he can play a bigger role in that area of the game, then all of a sudden I'm thinking he's definitely in the lineup in the playoffs. So there's still time for them to sort these things out. But fact of the matter is, he's just been so good every time he's been in there. And for a while, up until a couple of weeks ago, I was saying, well, the numbers say one thing, but what Lindy Ruff is telling us is he doesn't trust him to play more than 8 to 10 minutes a night, because as of a couple of weeks ago, he hadn't really done that. Then he played 15 minutes the one game. Then he's, 14, and they're playing him more and more, and he's continuing to be solid. Then they put him on the penalty kill, and now I'm looking at it saying Lindy Ruff really trusts this guy. And if Lindy Ruff trusts you, then, you're going to have a good chance to be in the lineup in the playoffs.
We're talking to Matthew Fairburn, Sabres in Ottawa tonight, and getting the call apparently in goal once again. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is seems like the rotation is over. And just your kind of thoughts, because when we talk about all these Sabres that have taken this step forward, certainly Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen has taken a step forward. Your thoughts on the Sabre goalie and what he's provided for the team here, Matthew?
Yeah, what a ride it's been for Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen over the last few years. I think back to 22-23, that they've got 4 goalies, and they're, trying to figure out what Devin Levi is going to be. They're getting Craig Anderson games, Eric Comrie's in there, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen ended up as somewhat of an afterthought in that season. He kind of wrestled his way back into the net the next year. In the second half of the year, he was one of the best goalies in hockey. Takes another step back last year, but this year I think he's been right back to where he was a couple years ago, maybe even a bit better. The only thing holding him back this year has been the occasional injury. But since he came back from the Olympic break, he didn't go with Team Finland. He made the team, but ended up missing the Olympics to rest that injury. And I know he was not happy about that. Nobody would be, right? Everybody wants a chance to play in the Olympics and represent their country. But the way he's looked since he got back, I mean, I think it was the right decision. He's been incredibly sharp. You take out that Tampa game would theoretically hurt his numbers, right? He gave up 7 goals, but he was actually, pretty competitive in that game at different stretches. He actually jumped in to defend Rasmus Dahlin when Hagel jumped him. Like, he's a real part of this, and he's been, both goalies have been really good, but all year in the back of my head, I just keep thinking, like, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen in an ideal world for these guys emerges as that top end number 1 goalie. We're starting to see a little bit of that here in the last few weeks. I'll be curious to see if he's still the hot hand at the end of the year, right? Because right now, if the playoffs started tomorrow, I think you throw him in the net for game 1, but they've got 2 really capable goalies, and the hot hand can change at any time. So we'll see if he can keep it rolling. But obviously right now they trust him a lot because this is his third straight start. And like you said, for a while they were rotating back and forth.
Yeah, the way the schedule's kind of fallen here, Matthew, it's been the Sabres facing teams that they all need points, whether that's Boston, Detroit. You had the Islanders, certainly. Now you get Ottawa, and Ottawa is the first team out right now. Your thoughts about this Ottawa team and really this schmozzle of teams that are, if you count Washington, which you should, they're only 3 points back. That's 5 teams within 3 points, and I'm not even counting the Islanders who just kind of clinging on that last spot there in the Metro. So your thoughts here on Ottawa, the opponent tonight, and kind of the race at the bottom of that wild card there.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference is crazy. It has been all year, and you would have thought that with the season the Sabres are having, that clinching. I mean, if they clinch tonight, it's still pretty early to clinch, in the grand scheme of things. But you would have thought it would have been even earlier with the type of season they've put together and the points that they've piled up. But so many teams in the Eastern Conference have just been so competitive all year long, and it's so tight to the point where the Sabres could still finish third in the division, given how close Montreal is.
Yeah.
So basically every game, like you said, for the last week plus has been against a desperate team. And I think the Sabres struggled to match that desperation a little bit last week against Boston and some of the Detroit certainly. And the Kraken came in, right on the outside of the playoff picture in the West trying to get some points. So I would imagine Ottawa will be pretty desperate tonight, but you would have thought that a couple nights ago when they got, run out of the building by the Panthers. The Senators team is in a weird spot. Right before you called, I was catching up on Matthew and Brady Tkachuk's podcast. They had their dad on this week, and he made some comments about, sort of backhanded shot potentially at Linus Ullmark. It's like Linus Ullmark's had a real up and down type of season, and I feel like there's a lot of noise going on with some of it self-created with Brady Tkachuk and his podcast, but Brady Tkachuk didn't talk to reporters this morning. They were asked to talk to Ullmark. He didn't talk. Ullmark had that game off on Saturday that caused the stir here. So a lot of drama with this Ottawa Senators team right now. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing for the Sabres.
Yeah, that's maybe it's I don't know. And Lena's certainly got, we know him in Rochester. You know him in Buffalo. And I always feel kind of weird when there are social media rumors, and we'll kind of leave it at that, that aren't really good when it comes to Ullmark and the team. But this doesn't do anything to quelch that. Why would you even do that if you're to me that violates the locker room code there a little bit, Matthew.
Yeah, it was people might be taking leaps to say, it certainly wasn't a direct shot at Ullmark, but it was something about basically the tough, kind of calling out the toughness of the Senators. He's like, oh, this team, they hurt their pinky and they're out for 6 days or whatever. Yeah. And look, we know Keith Tkachuk is a opinionated guy and a little, brash at times, obviously. I mean, his sons are the same way, but yeah, like stuff like that just feels like, to me, one of the things that you learn about hockey players in particular is they've got sort of these codes that they live by, and that protecting the locker room is a big part of that. So you really invite unnecessary drama when a lot of these guys want to point to the media and point to reporters as being a distraction or making a mountain out of a molehill, but it's like, this is very self-inflicted when you have a podcast and you have editing control. You can do this
right
in post-production, right? Take something out. It's like, it's just strange, honestly. And like, it's been a lot of this year for this team in Ottawa, and goaltending has been the main reason that they're not in a playoff spot, because if you look at all the underlying metrics, they say that this should be a team that's comfortably in the playoffs, but they are not getting the saves. And will they get them tonight? That's basically the question they have every night. Their defense is really banged up, and so it's like I said, it's tough to say if this is a good or bad time to catch them. I don't know if this is like galvanizing them or if they're going to be, kind of a little all over the place. But the Sabres don't seem to. That feels like something that would be, happening to Sabres teams in years past, right? All the white noise that can distract you, and the Sabres are just locked in, going about their business. So I guess they're not paying it much mind, but we'll see how it affects the Senators tonight.
Matthew, before we let you go, tell our audience about what you work on, what you have cooking there at The Athletic, and where we can get more of your work here.
Yeah, people can head to theathletic.com/Sabres. Everything I write is there. There's plenty of it, and we'll have a lot of coverage here from Canada if the Sabres, either way, if the Sabres clinch, if they don't, got an early morning flight to D.C. tomorrow to follow along and see what this team's made of. So, theathletic.com/Sabres is where everybody can find me.
Matthew, appreciate the time, and safe travels to Washington following tonight.
Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Matthew Fairburn. Live from Canada, a suburb of Ottawa in Canada. Now that we have that straight, last call is for you at 585-866-4326. Gene Battaglia here on WGR Rochester.
Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
There are a lot of things in life where you can talk about it, and then all of a sudden when you see the video, here's what this looks like. React to this video. And today, Martin County in Florida, that's where Tiger Woods got arrested for DUI, and they have released the body cam footage of this. And one of the exercises they're asking Tiger to do, just imagine taking your right fist and putting your left fist on top of it, and you're going to do this repeatedly. And for everybody that's watching this, I'm doing this on now. Well, I'm obviously completely sober and right mind. Tim might disagree. But Tiger, you could see him. He's doing this, and he has to think about, how do I raise my left arm over my right fist? And it's and when he's down, it's like, I don't want to say he's in tears, but he's clearly shook up. And can you think of anything more humiliating than to make a mistake like that? And now here's the whole world to see you. Maybe this helps him change by putting that, or maybe not. I would have thought maybe the last rollover crash would have done that, but apparently not. And I thought maybe over the last rollover crash, hey, you have more money than any of us could ever imagine. Hire a driver. You don't need to drive. I understand that you're on pain pills a lot, but anyhow, that story, as we say, has legs, because now and you'll see this tonight if you're going to watch any of the sports talk shows or Sports Center or anything like that, that the footage is out there. 866-4326, Sabres hockey tonight, taking Ottawa. Thank you to Matthew Fairburn for his time just now, Paul Hamilton. This should be a lot of fun. And the one thing I want to stop short of the pin is that this was a story from January. And in Sports Bar 1.0, we kind of touched on it, but it was one of those, like Linus Ullmark took a leave, and they said for mental health at the time. But there's a lot of rumors online, and I always feel weird about the rumors. What was this really about? And I'll just leave it at, was this a locker room divide over something? Was there a guy code violation, so to speak? And okay, it's an Ottawa team that, again, they're only 2 points out of a playoff spot. But then for the Tkachuk brothers to invite on Daddy today, and then to kind of put Ullmark on blast, he's the starting goaltender tonight. So when I saw this note originally today, I thought it was a Francesa, like, hey, the Ottawa Senators are not making anybody available, the Tkachuks or Linus Ullmark. Okay, well, it's a game day. I don't think anybody. Oh, this is the reason why. This is dumb podcast. Hey, if there is something there, you might see a completely disjointed Ottawa team tonight. And for the Sabres, take advantage. Like, you're the team that is just focused on the next game and, living relatively drama-free right now. If you missed any of today's show, as always, the Odyssey app is the way to go. You can download the app, listen to all 2 hours if you wish, at whatever time you want to, obviously. If you're somebody that's used to drive time in the afternoon or in the evening, take us wherever you go. Or if you want to listen in bite-sized form, the interview by Paul Hamilton, Dan DeLorean has everything chopped up for you in fine form. Don Stevens Day is coming up on Saturday for the Amerks. Don will join us in studio tomorrow. We'll also get caught up on the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, a new father, as Elena Getzenberg from ESPN will join us on Friday as well. For Tim Schneider, I'm Gene Battaglia. Show up in the Bulldog next on WGR Rochester.
You're in the